Hi guys, this is Derek from Pacific Coast Auto, and we're taking a look at our auction picks for this week. Just like last week, we have the first three cars are picked by me, the second three cars are picked by Andrew, and the third three cars are picked by Paul. We're going to go through the cars, see how the condition of them, look at the interior, exterior, and whatnot. And at the end of this video, be sure to watch out for, we have a section where we go over last week's picks and how much those ones actually sold for compared to how much I thought that they would sell for. And so the first car up here, you can see, is a Lancia Delta, and this is an Evo 2 version. And this one's quite a bit more special than your regular Evo 2 because it's called a JAA version. And this is a special limited edition version of the Lancia Delta, and what you get special for this is a special yellow paint, which you can only get with this car, and you get special black seats that are made from Alcantara with yellow stitching in them. And so these seats in this color only come in this version of the car, and it's a limited edition car. Only 300, I believe 350, 360 or so were made. This one still has registration, and what makes this car super unique is that, take a look at the sheet here, it only has 17,257 kilometers on it. And so extremely low mileage on this car and very rare as well. These Gialla versions, they're pretty much easiest to find here in Japan than they are in any other country. And so I think that they're a fantastic buy. They're a car that's definitely going to go up in value. Now, about 8 years ago, you used to be able to get one of these for about, in this condition, for probably about 2 million to 3 million yen. But the prices of these, just like the E30 M3, have skyrocketed big time. And I think that this is going to be one of the most expensive Evo 2s to go through auction ever, possibly, because of that super low mileage and the fact that it's rare and in pretty good condition. Taking a look at the sheet here, we have repainted hood, a repainted section here on the front, but otherwise really no problems with the body. And then it has a full history from brand new. You can see all these lines are for different history papers. The timing belt was changed at only 15,645 kilometers. And it's got the Euro lights. See the headlights here. Both of them are the same size. That would be the Euro lights. Typically in Japan, they come with a larger one on the outside and a smaller one on the inside. It also says that this car has been garage kept all of its life. So pretty perfect condition car. My guess for the price on this one is going to be 8.5 million yen. Second Derek pick here, and this is another special limited edition car, and so it's a Toyota Altezza. This one's a 1999, and this one's called a Tom's 280T. And so what this is it's a Toyota car that Tom's took and made a factory turbocharger for the car. So really cool. Only 100 of these were ever made, so fairly rare. You can see a front mount intercooler that's not stock on this car. It has the black headlights instead of the silver ones. Those look better in my opinion. These are Skyline GTR wheels, which barely fit into the car by the looks of it. And the body kit is exclusive to the Tom's version. So front bumper, side skirt, and rear bumper. Kind of a stupid looking rear bumper here, but whatever. This back spoiler is not stock on the car. And I think this part here looks like it's authentic and factory. I don't think that these seats are, but they could be. I don't know. Obviously, with only 100 of them ever made, I don't know an awful lot about these cars. Altezzas generally sell for a really good price, and this one, actually, if you click over here, you can see that the car already went through auction and it sold for $381,000 November 23rd. Now, typically what that means is somebody bought the car with the intention to resell the car at a profit. And when it comes to rare cars like this, that can sometimes happen. People see the cars that they can get for maybe a good value and possibly flip it by setting the reserve price for a higher amount. Taking a look at the sheet, it has high mileage, 166,860 kilometers on here. The body's not in the best shape. There's really bad paint on the left side here, paint cracks on the hood. Rear bumper has some cracks, spoiler holes in the trunk from where a spoiler was removed, and it's been in an accident that has been repaired. The accident doesn't look like it's been too bad, but overall condition not that great. I'm going to guess not a super high price. I'm going to guess between 450 and 500 for that, and that pads the pockets of the guy who's buying it to flip it by just a little bit. Maybe he's trying to get a little bit more than that, but I don't think it's worth more than that. Okay, on to the next one. And we have another limited edition car. And if you don't know what this car is, I'm not surprised because they didn't make very many of them and they're a really weird car. This is a Toyota Classic, and this is a 1996 model. Let me just put the interior up here. Move this, here we go. Okay, so it's a 1996. Once again, only 100 of these cars were ever made. They come with red leather seats and 10,534 original mileage, so super low original mileage on it. The roof of it says W2, which means it's repainted. If you look in the picture, it looks like there's something wrong with it, like it's cloudy paint or something. Kind of weird that it didn't have a note there for peeling paint, because that's what it looks like, peeling or faded paint. The looks of the car are really unique. If you drive by in one of these cars, people will have no idea what you're driving. And the interior is a little bit strange. Now, these cars cost $75,000 when they were brand new, which is a lot of money, but it is a pretty unique car. They tend to hold their value a little bit. They're more expensive now than, for example, an equivalent S-Class Mercedes that was sold at the same time. And the condition of it, the body is probably an 8 out of 10. It has some corrosion under the battery. It has been in an accident in the front that is probably a medium-sized accident. And this one, just like the last one, also went unsold recently. And the highest bid at that time was 1.78 million yen. And so I'm going to guess that probably they're not looking for too much more than that, because that sounds a bit expensive to me for this car. I'm going to guess 1.85 million on this one. And one thing that I forgot to mention, this car is based off of the Toyota Hilux chassis, and has a 2-liter gasoline engine. And so that would be the same engine as in the 2-liter Hilux, I imagine. And so you get 100 horsepower and a Hilux chassis, which is kind of neat. I suppose you could lift it up and put it on big tires, and it would be kind of maybe a stupid idea, I don't know. Okay, on to the next one. And so these ones are Andrew's picks. So his first pick here is a 2001 Nissan Skyline GTR, and this is a Vspec 2. You can notice that because it has the extra NACA duct on the hood there. This hood is made out of a carbon Kevlar, I think, or just a full carbon fiber, I'm not sure. And then it has the front bumper, intercooler, front mount intercooler, some really big Volk wheels on it, and painted in this pearl paint, and that is the original pearl on this one. Now, this one is not a NUR version. The NUR is even more rare than these ones. The Vspec 2 tends to go for about 1 million yen more than they typically sell for, these Skyline GTRs. And so this one is legal to be imported into Canada. It has endless caliper upgrade on the front. Maybe 4 wheels. It just says endless calipers here. Nismo exhaust, Reyes wheels or Volk Reyes wheels, HKS boost controller, Origin adjustable suspension, Recaro seat, ARC intercooler, Blitz turbo timer, navigation with a TV in it, purchased from user, various aftermarket parts, comes with history papers and owner's manual. Rear accident that has caused the replacement of this fender here, the trunk and the back panel, and the windshield has a crack. There's also W3 and paint cracks here, and the front bumper has some scuffs on it. Pretty typical of these cars because it's a very low front bumper here. Okay, I would call this probably about a 7 out of 10 in terms of condition. It needs a couple of things here and there, but that'll keep the price down a bit. I'm going to guess because this one is a Vspec 2 with 100,000 kilometers or so, we're probably going to see this one go for about 5 million yen or so. Okay, interior picture here. Something I noticed that's a little bit strange. I thought all the Vspec 2s came with black seats. This one has the gray seat of the standard Skylines. I don't know if that was ever replaced or if you can get the Vspec 2 with a gray seat as well. I've never seen one myself, and we've sold a few. The Recaro seat is a little bit of a disappointment because the seats in the Skyline are really awesome, and I typically don't like aftermarket seats unless they're really nice aftermarkets, and it's hard to tell if this one is because you can't really see anything. Original shift knob here, and of course the computer that tells you all the stats about the car. This one here would probably be the boost controller. And original steering wheel. Okay, on to Andrew's number 2 pick. This is a Toyota MRS. It's a car that not an awful lot of people really love this car, probably because it only came with 180 to 200 horsepower. 200 horsepower here in Japan, I think only. Maybe in other markets too, but I think the US one was capped at 180 horsepower. This one's a little bit unique because you have slightly wide fenders put on the front and the rear. Of course, the engine is in the back here, and it uses the same engine as the Toyota Celica. It's an open-top car. Not really much else to talk about it there. We've never sold one of these. Not an awful lot of people are looking for them. But the prices of them is really low, so I would assume that more people would probably want to buy them if they knew how much they cost. See, this one has 62,855 kilometers. There's a little bit of paint fade on the hood and the trunk and the front bumper, but otherwise the condition is extremely good on the car, low mileage, and I'm going to guess that this one's going to sell for only about 150,000 yen. Okay, under his last one here is a Honda NSX. This one's a 2000, I'm sorry, the last one, I forgot to say that MRS was 2001. This NSX is 1991. Comes with the 3-spoke wheels that people usually know that I don't like those. Some people like them. They're very lightweight and fairly strong design, but I think they look kind of goofy. Excuse me. So you can import this one into the USA right away. This one has 96,133 kilometers, but the gauges have been changed, and so they're not sure of the mileage on it. It has 300 kilometer an hour gauge panel that has been put in, and in 2015 it was at 95,000 kilometers, and 2013 it was at 93,000 kilometers. That's the only history that it comes with it, and so because of that, you're going to have to take a gamble on this one. You'll get the car for a lot cheaper because we don't know the mileage, but it's hard to say by it, like if it's worth it, because we don't really know. Typically a car like this we wouldn't recommend unless you really like being risky with your picks. The wheels are made by Volk, and the timing belt was changed at 54,920 kilometers, but once again we don't know if that was before or after the change. This one's an automatic transmission, and it's a little bit funny because people think, why get an automatic transmission in an NSX? But there are a lot of people who prefer automatics these days, and you can buy these for usually 1 to 2 million yen less if it's an automatic transmission than a manual. And the automatics come with power steering, and the manuals only came with manual steering. Now, one of the problems with the power steering, and what is a problem on this car, is that the power steering makes it says a gata sound, but I've seen this on a number of them. The power steering, when you hit the center point, kind of shakes before it allows you to go past the center point. Kind of a weird little problem, but apparently a common problem on these cars. I'm going to guess for this one it'll sell for 1.7 million yen. Actually, let's lower that. 1.5 million because the mileage is unknown. Okay, Paul's first pick is very Fast and Furious. Love the color on it. It's a repaint. It has 18-inch wheels on the front and 19-inch wheels on the back. And this one's a non-turbo, so you can probably get it for a pretty good price. The non-turbos still have 220 horsepower, and so for a lot of people that's a good amount of power. If you want more, there is the turbocharged version of the car, but the turbos sell for an awful lot more, probably about 1 million yen more than the non-turbos. Okay, so there's a large GT wing, huge diffuser in the back. A car like this will definitely be an attention getter. The 19-inch wheels on the back here are going to look a lot bigger in person than they do in the picture. Nismo shift knob, perfect for Toyota. The standard seats here, left and right. And this one, interestingly, so this is a 1997 version, SZ, but comes with a 5-speed manual. And so what that means is this is an early model 97 because halfway through 97 they changed to the 6-speed. It has 131,850 kilometers, still has registration here in Japan. Aero parts, GT wing, exhaust, suspension, 18 and 19-inch wheels. They say TSW is the brand name on those. Navigation, original steering wheel, original seats. And it has the good original steering wheel. And so there are 2 steering wheels for the early model. One of them is really big and ugly, and this one's the kind of slimmer, better looking steering wheel. The timing belt was changed in 2010. Tires on the front are 225s, tires on the back are 245s. Kind of a skinny tire for being 18 and 19s, but without a turbo, I guess a skinny tire is reasonable. Condition of the car is not too bad. It has been color changed, so there is that. It doesn't say what the original color is. You have some cracks in the side skirt here, cracks in the front bumper, cracks in the side skirt here, and cracks here. And so obviously the car is too low in order to drive in Japan. So there is that. There is a little bit of rust on the trunk here, and the car has been in an accident, hence the R grade. And it looks like it's been a minor accident. It says the front cross member has been replaced, but there isn't any other mentions about accident damage. And so for this one, I'm going to guess 700,000 yen. And we'll see how that is. I don't feel that confident about that price on that one. Okay, on to the next one. So Paul picked a Porsche 911, and this one here is a 1990 model, importable to the USA. And the reason he picked this is because it is a race car, or kind of race car-ish. It has been converted to a race car inside, has kind of a racing style bumper, and then this one has the wide body kit on it, even though this one's a non-turbo version of the car. Okay, this one's US legal, so you can import this to the USA, and Japan is a wonderful place to get your 911s from because there are huge selections here. It was a very popular car here in the 80s, 90s, and even now, so really easy to find. This one's not a 964, this is the generation before, called the G series, 127 750 kilometers on it, 18-inch wheels with two 65s on the front, which is pretty wide, but two 95s on the back, which is very wide. Front and rear GT type over fenders, that's aftermarket. Large rear spoiler with ducts in it. Let's take a look at that. And so this corner piece here would have a duct that feeds the air into the engine. This one we get tons of pictures of, which is kind of cool. You can see the interior has the aluminum plating in there, aftermarket seats, full bucket for the driver. You get a lot of dish on the wheels, you can see. So it looks really cool. And we get a nice little picture of the exhaust, which looks quite custom. And these cars always sound really awesome with aftermarket exhaust. There's a better picture of the driver's seat. So it looks like a fun car, good for a track car. Maybe good for a street car, it depends. If you haven't driven like an old style 911, the air-cooled ones, you probably want to drive one before you go ahead and buy one because they feel kind of old compared to today's standards. But they are very good cars nonetheless. I really like them. Okay, bunch of other modifications, but nothing really too crazy on it. The front floor has been dented because of an accident. Right front inner panel and front floor dented. The dashboard has a crack in it, screw holes in the interior liners, and the paint on the exterior has some uneven and unclear sections of it. The body looks really good otherwise, and because this one's been modified, it'll sell for less than one that hasn't been modified. I'm going to guess for this one, we're probably looking at about 3.2 million on it. Okay, and then Paul's last pick here is a Renault Clio. And don't click away yet because we're going to go over the prices of last week before the end of the video. So this is a 2001. It's legal in Canada if you want to import one there. Paul put a little note here, Gran Turismo, because a lot of people got their first introduction to this car in Gran Turismo. What's really nuts about this is they take a regular economy car, a Renault Clio, which normally has the engine in the front, and they put the engine into the back. And you get these giant scoops to put air in, left and right side. You get giant wheels and a super wide body kit. It's probably about 7 or 8 centimeters wider on each side than the standard car. And it's pretty nuts to see in person. All the wide body parts are made out of plastic, and so typically the body stays in good condition because the plastic doesn't dent. You can see the really cool dual exhaust that's standard. And to get at the engine, you open the trunk here, and this is what you see. Underneath the cover is another metal cover, and then there's the engine in there. It's not a very fast engine. I think it's only just above 200 horsepower, but you get a 6-speed manual transmission. You get Alcantara seats in it. And it's just a really cool car. It sounds really awesome. Looks really cool. And these weren't sold in Canada originally, so if you have one, then people are going to think you're cooler than you actually are. I just noticed this one has a tow hook on the front, so probably somebody was using this one for racing at one point. And the calipers are yellow. They don't normally come in yellow like that. Those might be aftermarket ones. Okay, so body is pretty much perfect. It has the airbag lamp is on, but it's a French car, and so it typically has at least one lamp on the dashboard there. Only 71,398 kilometers, and this is an auction grade 4.5 with B. I'm going to guess for this one 2.6 million yen on that. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and watch for the next section here where we're going to go over the prices of the cars.
Hey everybody, Andrew here to run down last week's picks. Up first, the Bayside Blue R34 GTR. It sold for $36,384. That's more than Derek's guess, and also keep in mind that's a high mileage R-grade car. A lower mileage one in better condition will probably sell for even more. The Lancer Evolution Tommy Mackinnon edition went unsold at $10,884, which is to be expected because the car is worth more than that and the owner didn't want to let it go for that price. The Crown Estate Athlete Wagon sold for $58.93, which is pretty much spot on with Derek's guess. The Honda Beat sold for $661. More than expected, but I guess understandable because it is a Beat. The Toyota Land Cruiser 80 went unsold with a high bid of $3,205. Probably not worth that. The owner's just trying to get what a good Land Cruiser would go for. The Nissan Figaro also went unsold with a high bid of $29.91. No way. That's what a good Figaro would go for, not this one. The Silvia S15 Spec R sold for $16,116. Surprising for a car that's that highly modified, but I guess some people want that. The Toyota Supra RZ sold for $23,661. Way over Derek's guess, and maybe a sign of things to come for the supermarket. Finally, the Pulsar GTI-R sold for $14,285. Well done, Derek. And that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to check back next Wednesday for a brand new set of picks and the results from this week. Thanks for watching.